Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. All right, so in the Tai Chi Journey, there's a lot of talk that Tai Chi doesn't do sitting meditation. It's not a meditation system, it's a martial arts system. And in all probability that might be true. But what you will find is when you practice exercises sitting, your mind can get much deeper into the life force, into the elixir field, condense that essence of that energy, transform it from the field, absorb it into the fluid, condense the fluid into these heavier drops, condense the drops into the mind substance, into that sparkly quality, that immortal essence underneath the life force, condensed life force. You can only do this sitting. You can't find it standing, because when you're standing, gravity is acting on your mental astral matrix too strongly and pulling and locking the mind and the body. So we need to master a lot of these alchemical exercises sitting before we do things standing. Very, very important. Now you'll notice a lot of the exercises I'll be teaching you are things that require you to maintain awareness outside the body, because this is what generates spirit senses. This wakes up the spirit and forces the spirit to feel. If I'm dependent on a physiological function of seeing or hearing or feeling inside my body, my physiology will lock the mental astral matrix for that function to happen, and I won't be able to activate the spirit. The spirit is kind of blocked out of the equation. But things like focusing the will, the breath and the stretch into the ball, that forces the awareness outside the body while concentrating and condensing life force to give you an experience. So this is much more valuable. So as you're developing your training and you're doing these vital breathing exercises, master as many exercises sitting before standing. So we did the push and pull exercise and condensing the elixir. I enjoy doing it sitting much more than standing. And why? Because my mind will go much deeper in the sitting posture than the standing posture. When I stand up, yes, I'm anchored into that, but it moves it or forces it in a type of quantitative phase of training the moment I stand. While I'm sitting, I can do qualitative training. I can go deeper in the awareness. I can refine my perception. I can go to a place that's much more difficult to do standing. So really take time, whatever the exercise, whether you're doing the push and pull, condensing the life force into the elixir, taking it through all these stages, and we're going to take it further and further with these stages as well. I want you to really understand what the fabric of light is. Everything that exists is light. It's energy, information and consciousness in the form of light. And at the pinnacle of refinement of this light is what they call non-dual light. And non-dual light is the refined state where there's barely any vibration in the light at all. And you need to filter it through Wuji, filter your awareness in this light through Akasha, and it takes on a non-dual nature. This non-dual nature is our primary goal, to concentrate inside of that light so that you don't need to reincarnate. The basic philosophy is if there's a samsaric force within your spirit that's sticky, every time you lose a body, you're going to go into a like frequency of center of gravity of your mind, and then the energy is going to return and pull you into another incarnation. If you go into a non-dual light state, frequency of the mind, the karma of the past can't catch you and pull you into another incarnation. It's not sticky enough, it's too refined. So your will has to exceed the magnetism that pulls karma and your mind together to force you to incarnate. And this method is a method of cultivating Akasha emptiness, or Wuji, and dipping the mind inside of Akasha so that you can look at the mind as pure light and refine that light into a non-dual state. That's the goal of this Tai Chi training program. That's what we're training for. Because when you shed this body, the chi dies, the physical body dies, the spirit rises, the center of gravity of spirit is going to go to a like frequency. If it's non-dual light, you'll recognize, I'm a being of light. And that's all the being of light is someone who's done the work to bathe the mind in akasha, to see the nature of mind, and to equalize with that nature of mind. And it's a non-dual, primordial light nature. And this is what we're interested in Tai Chi. So I want to get you to this place where when you do Tai Chi, you're cultivating light. When you're cultivating light, you're cultivating spirit. So the Shen Ming arises, where everything is light of the mind, everything is spirit, everything you look at is the same as you. It's just at a different stage of its evolution of recognizing that it is the same as you. That's the purpose of Tai Chi from the perspective of Hermetics, from the perspective of the Qigong program, and perspective of how I see people are going to get the most value out of training. Now when you look at, okay, we're heading towards this non-dual light, there's a vibrational scale. We've got the physical world, we've got the vital, we've got the astral chi world that have all these releases of time to make on the top heaven realms and on the bottom heavier hellish types of realms. And then we have the spirit world of mind substance, the people who refine the mind to very, very high levels. You have the mental planes. And then you have akasha. Now, akasha is underlying emptiness underneath all things. Beyond akasha is the non-dual light realms, where the flux of light is so subtle that the will exceeds samsaric force. And these non-dual light realms, they're not actually non-dual yet, but because the will exceeds the duality of what forces samsara, we call them non-dual. They're a platform that's very stable, that's very difficult to fall from. Okay, so this recognition of that spirit is light, it has a dual nature, it has a non-dual nature, there's a vibrational scale, there's a path to get there. Now let's break down what this path is. Beginning of the path, we're working inside of time and space with life force. You start slowing down time, you go from the lower Dantian consciousness to the middle Dantian consciousness. As everything slows down, you start entering the astral world as you release time. The more you release time up to a still point, the higher the frequency till you get to the astral heaven realms. In the heaven realms, beings still have body. They're still subject to I am me, I have an identity, I am something. When you start releasing space, that self-concept starts dissolving and the self-identity disappears and there's mind substance. Then there's only these qualities, very refined qualities of mind substance. We call these the upper heaven realms, the higher heaven realms. These beings, some have a body and some are just pure mind. They're inside of space. And they tend to, the beings that are pure mind, they tend to have evolved out of the physics of nature, the consciousness of the earth, the consciousness of the sun, the consciousness of gravitational fields in the cosmos. Everything in the universe is mind, and all mind is evolving. And when these mind substances that arise out of greater, bigger things, they don't have body identities, but they're still mind. And as they refine into the non-dual nature through this self-awareness process, they are beings of light without body. Beings that have a body will spend quite a long time as a being of light with the body, identified body. But then that gets dissolved away as well until we have these beings of light that only reflect through a body when the person or intelligence they're connecting to needs that. Okay, so this fundamental alchemical theory of working with a body of light, this is what we're doing in Tai Chi. This is why we're training. This is why we're refining the mind. This is why we're refining the Qi. This is why we're refining the body. This is a very important thing to recognize. The next aspect to look at is how do you purify the Qi? Everything has volume and purity. If you have a lot of power with no purity, the law of rhythm is going to make you swing up and down. So equanimity is the goal. Now, purity is a journey to equanimity. It's not a journey to being a nice guy. It's not a journey about fitting into society and being well liked. These are all survival mechanisms that give you a good life in society and make society better when you understand how to utilize them. But at the end of the day, equanimity is the only thing that allows you to move up and down this elevator, up and down the vibrational scale. If I want to go into a light realm, I go into stillness, I remember my past experience of that light realm, the frequency, and then I just let my mind float into that space. Now a part of my mind is in that light realm. Now if I want to bring that white light into my feeling of the physical body, I welcome it in. If I want to bring it into the physical cells, I have to relax that light in and give it a very clear, concise purpose. And if I want that light to act as a center of gravity for my spiritual direction, I have to invite it to do so. Non-dual light doesn't have a purpose. When you bring it into your body, you decide the purpose. It's something that just creates. But what it creates is up to you. You choose that path of creation for that light. It's up to you. What do you want that light to do? It's going to manifest itself through that. Now, as we move down this road of how do we purify the chi, white light itself purifies the chi. But to get to white light, you have to purify the chi to equanimity. So what we want to do is look at what are the basic aids on the spiritual path to attain equanimity. In Buddhism, they have the precepts. In Taoism, protecting the gates. So all systems have these ways of protecting the thinking, the feeling, and the action from the law of vibration of going into a low rhythmic state. The law of vibration has a rhythmic opposite, has a law of polarity. It pulls you up, pulls you down, makes you swing. If you polarize the top, the bottom half of the swing gets cut off. So precepts are there to polarize your mental, astral, and physical behaviors so that you're always rising in frequency towards equanimity and not moving down in frequency. So making your own ethical goals, this is what your chi is going to amplify. Now, these are not just things, be a good person, because that doesn't give you equanimity. It'll make meditation practice better, but that's only a part of the goal. The goal here is to look at every precept, every code of living as a tuning fork. So let's say truth. What benefit is there in being completely truthful with every thought you have, with every feeling you have, with looking in the mirror, with communication with other people? What benefit is there in truth? So the first thing it does is it signals to your subconscious to see truth, because that is the base resonance of how you think, how you feel, and how you act. It lets you see yourself truthfully. If you come in resonance to truth and you look in the mirror, you go, this is me. This is my physical, this is my personality, this is the way my mind vibrates, because you're on a path of truth. So taking precepts where you say to yourself, I'm going to live in truth, you'll automatically, your subconscious will start filtering your perceptions to be in resonance with truth. So this precept is really the fabric of spiritual learning, is the search for truth. And your subconscious, on a very deep level, on your deep conscious level, it knows the difference between delusion and not delusion. It's very clear, because this is truth, this is delusion. But the astral ego can't tell the difference, because the astral ego is conditioned by exposure to stimuli. The spirit's not. It works on a different level. So when you start anchoring these things deep into the spirit for spiritual truth to awaken, then these things start coming up. So in your Tai Chi journey, you need to make your own codes of living, your own precepts. Truth is a valuable one. Intoxicants. What dissolves your willpower? What thins your mental astral matrix and leaks your chi? What makes you vulnerable? Intoxicants do that. So, okay, where's the boundary? How much of intoxicant can I take, or do I take any at all, so that all my energy doesn't just get lost and ventilated outwards? Sexual conduct. If you are having very, very pure thinking in relation to your sexual interactions, the people you exchange energy with and share karma with are going to have a much better effect on you. If your sexual interaction is very primal, you'll exchange very primal karma with your partner, and that means you have to take on the karma of your partner. So this is may not be beneficial for refining vital essences and elixirs and high frequency energies if you're indulging in primal behaviors. So you've got to refine your sexual interactions so that they cultivate a type of light and equanimity and a sense of well-being. Or if you're following a monastic path, you go, okay, I'll just put that on the side and practice. And you'll find that if you're working a lot of non-dual light and you're having that non-dual light pulling everything into equanimity, your need for sexual gratification will reduce. If you bring light into the body and into the base chakra, your sexual energy will increase and you'll feel more virile and more wanting to indulge. So then you'll need to either transform that energy and refine it, or look very, very clearly at your methods of sexual alchemy. How do you transform energy during sex and make it a practice, so that practice amplifies your energy and doesn't deplete your energy? So we've got the truth, we've got intoxicants, we've got sexual behavior, okay, harmful energy, killing. When you harm another human being, the mental astral matrix within that person collapses, it crushes in on itself. And you're connected to that activity. And that crushing in on itself, you feel it within your spirit, and your spirit collapses in and withdraws into the body as your primal instinct gets activated. So that reptilian brain, we need to make the reptilian brain work for us so it doesn't force the spirit into the body. We want to use that as a vehicle. So this is where the Eyes of a Hawk training comes in, where there's a value in training through Eyes of a Hawk, but we're going to use that as a secondary method for overcoming the downside of the reptilian brain in spiritual practice. But we want to use it as a power. We're going to cover this component later. If we bring it in too early, it can act as an obstacle, where you're going to have to spend a year working on the reptilian brain, burning the fire to transcend it. And we can get to very high levels without it, but it needs to be done at some point. All right, so other precepts, stealing. If you produce an imbalance with another person and take away from someone else, then that creates an imbalance in yourself as a reflection of that instantaneous karma, especially if you're doing a lot of Wu-Ji work. With people who are professional thieves, that karma, because they're not doing any Wu-Ji work, it's not subject to time of releasing right now. It's going to come back to them at some point in the future. The astral space they get pulled into through these incarnations will be very hard on them. Now, what you need to look at within what you're doing right now is, what is your code of integrity? When you come into integrity of something that you are doing, what do you give for every interaction? You need to give people more than they give you. So if you're a salesman, you sell something at a price where that person is going to get huge value for that item, and you're going to get value back, but it's going to improve the quality of their life more than what they paid. So if you paid $350 for this course, I've got to ensure that you have more than $350 in value of the training when you do this course, so that, wow, that was worth far more than $350. That means that the universe in its own way has given me a positive merit field. I have all this gain which I've generated in this deep unconscious karma that the universe is just going to bring back to me because I didn't overcharge a person. If I charged the person thousands of dollars and they didn't utilize the course well, it'd be like, oh, I overcharged them. They didn't get value out of it. So whatever your interactions are with people, you have to be in your integrity to to ensure they get value and gain. If they grow in a very big way through that interaction, then you're going to have a lot of spiritual support underneath you in the future. And this is really, really valuable. Okay, so integrity. So there's lots of different types of tuning forks, precepts, which you can contemplate, think of, okay, this is a good thing for me to apply in my life. This tuning fork is going to vibrate in this way. It's going to affect the chi in this way, and it's going to raise the frequency of my astral personality, which will raise the frequency of the chi. It'll free the mind up, bring me into equanimity, and allow me to practice well. That's what the precepts are for. It's an aspect of physics. Remember, it's physics. I gave this talk at a workshop in America, and one of the attendees walked up to me and said, I was really offended by that talk. And I could see this projection inside him of the 10 Commandments being beat into him as a child. And it was like, oh, okay, that's why he's offended. He associated it with something that has nothing to do with what I was teaching him. And so be careful of these associations. This is pure physics. It's the physics how energy vibrates and is purified. It has nothing to do with it being a good person or a bad person. It has to do with energy and the way it vibrates. Pull everything back into physics, into the physics of energy. This is really important. Tai Chi, in its alchemical nature, is all energetics. It's mind, chi, and body. 3 dantians. Mind moves chi, chi moves body. And if you're not in resonance with that, you're not doing Tai Chi. It doesn't matter how vacuous you are and how far you bounce someone and how much suction you get and repel someone backwards. It's not Tai Chi without the mind, chi, body alchemy. And that's okay. Those other models, they work. But you want to understand the metaphysical laws of how everything functions so you can transcend the form, unify with the law, and utilize a spiritual development tool in a true way. This is important. So, contemplate your tuning forks, your code of living. How do you live? Really look at them and refine those tuning forks. Okay, the next thing to look at is your lifestyle. If you're cultivating chi and your lifestyle is leaking chi, what are you going to do about it? What's the point of training if you lose all your energy through your lifestyle? Fix your lifestyle so you don't lose energy and you get success. It's obvious. You just have to have a look. So draw a line. I don't cross that line. It's inconceivable to go across that line in my lifestyle. And just decide, apply your will to it, polarize the positive, and the negative, there's no rhythmic swing there. It just can't go there. The next thing to look at in your practice is the method that you interact with other people. Is there a sense of compassion? Is there a sense of love? Is there a sense of understanding? Is there a sense of goodwill? What is the basis of your relationship to other people? And the reason why this is important is because we lose a lot of energy through those interactions, or we can gain a lot of energy through those interactions. So look at the way you interact with people and really go, okay, if I'm going to refine my spiritual path through Tai Chi, every interaction is important. All right, next thing to look at is listening energy. Listen to people. When you come into someone's space, feel them. How do they feel? What is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? What are your feelings telling you? What are they reflecting at you? What are they mirroring at you? And go, oh, okay, I can feel this person's not well today. Their energy's low, their energy's high, they're limping, their body's out of alignment. Identify all these listening qualities all the time. Even random people walking down the street. Oh, their hip's out. Oh, that person has a broken toe. Oh, there's a bone just out of alignment there. And get used to just being aware of this information. You'll need it in Tai Chi. It's listening. Now, when you journal these things and write them down, that this isn't important enough for me to write down, your subconscious goes, okay, we'll start allowing more of the information in, because you're just paying more attention to it. And then as you write it down and you journal it and you bring it into your resonance with your path, your mastery, then you're going to start getting this, okay, this is how it works. I just have to, when I touch, I just listen, and I can see what's happening mentally, astrally, and physically in my partner. If I want to uproot them, I can. If I want to heal them, you can do that as well. It's listening energy. A good healer has tremendous listening energy. And that's why good healers make very good Tai Chi practitioners. They learn quickly because of the listening skill that they have. All right, so other aspects of training to consider. We've done precepts, we've done lifestyle, we've done listening all the time. When you are in your personal home space, does your home space give you energy or take away energy? Like some people come home and go, and just feel exhausted. Other people come home and go, yeah, I've got lots of energy, I'm going to go clean the yard. And there's a certain type of energetic pattern in the space where you take your sleep, where you eat in your home, that is working for you or against you. It may be feng shui, it may be the people, it may be the structure of the building, it may be the wood or the concrete. It doesn't matter. Just identify. I get more energy here or I get less energy. Once you've got that, you can start looking at, is it repairable or should you change the location of your home? I've had a lot of people who are just in amazing places and they get energy from the home, perfect. We've also had quite a few people with major problems energetically. They're just getting vampired by energy draining out of them in the place they're sleeping. So be very aware of this. If something is draining your energy, you've got to close all those doors. And if it's the environment, you've got to identify it. If it's people, you've got to identify it. If it's your own emotional patterns, you've got to identify it. You don't want to leave your gates open. Close the gates, cultivate the energy, and raise the frequency of the energy. Bring it to equanimity and strengthen it. Okay, so where you take your time is important. Now, there's other things like job. Are you really happy in your work? Because life is pretty short. You want to have a high degree of joy. If you're not happy in your work, you're not going to be happy in anything else in your life either, because that's where you spend most of your time. There's a critical mass inside that moves forward, and it's going to affect your Tai Chi training. So if you want success in Tai Chi, you have to have success within your mental well-being of how you take time in your life. Other areas to look at for Tai Chi are your training partners. If you have training partners you're working with, if they're not closing the gates, if they've got lifestyle problems, they're going to drain you of energy and they're going to dump negative karma on you and so forth. Ensure that you've got high quality training partners. Other things to look at is weather. When it's raining, there's high degrees of magnetic fluid in the air, and it'll permeate your joints. When the sun's out and it's excessively yang, you can overheat your system if you're directly training in the sun. So be sensitive to the weather and the type of training you do at different types of weather. I do more yang type of weather exertion when it's a bit cloudy and magnetic, because it fuels me really, really well. If I do magnetic energy work in bad weather, I find it overloads me and you get arthritic type of symptoms. So you want to burn that energy to bring yourself back into balance. Now this advice is different for every single person out there. Someone who's very fiery will really enjoy magnetic work during the rain. So you've got to figure it out within yourself. What weather conditions, what locations will give you the best effects. Now, when you do time of the day, before sunrise, the life force is condensed into the morning dew. Put your feet in the morning dew if the weather allows, and then draw energy from the morning dew through your feet and breathe through the feet to absorb it into your body. And try not to wear shoes. Shoes are a burden for your energy system. You want to be grabbing with your toes and like this when you connect your legs. If you have a shoe on and the leather goes over your toes, it makes your toes fall asleep almost, because your toes are just doing this, and the leather is supporting it. So the tensegrity of your body runs through the shoe, not through your toes, and your toes become less efficient and they become less connected. So the advice here is to stand on pebbly ground. I like to stand on sharp gravel so it hurts, and then vital breathe, and that wakes my feet up, and my hands burn as my feet burn. And I go, okay, that's good for me. You may want to do this on river rock pebbles and stand on that barefoot and do your Tai Chi form. This will wake your energy up. It'll stimulate the Chi. You can put a marble in your kidney 1 point in your shoe, just a small ball bearing of magnetite would be best, and a little bit of double-sided tape or something onto your foot, or so you can get it into your shoe without it rolling off, and then lock it in there, and you'll find that has an amazing effect on your energy system and on your body. All right, so other things to consider with Tai Chi is understand your method. Understand how you use your body mechanics. Journal them clearly. Understand how to stretch the joints, open the feeling of energy, tune the fascia, put the energy outside the body, get into the elixir field, release time to convert it into Chi, release space to absorb it into the Yi, and then how to reticulate it through the Yi back into Chi, into body through Tai Chi movement. Clearly define your method of training. The way you apply, the way you put that out there has to be clear, it has to be concise, it has to be defined in your mind. You have to know exactly what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll get to nowhere, because it's a reflection of your mind. Don't stand and think it'll come. Don't do Qi Kung exercise if you don't know what the mental body does, what the astral body does, and what the physical body does. These are mechanical functions. This is electric and magnetic, for electric magnetic body mechanics. What is the feeling mechanic? How do you cultivate the personality? What is the mind mechanic? Clearly define this every single time. And we're going to cover that in detail, and we're going to cover it in a lot of detail. There's a very, very deep psychology to the nature of the Yi. The mind, there's 4 pillars inside your mind intent. One is observing, one is doing, one is sticking, and one is transforming. And we need these all to be separate but working together, doing their function. If your mind is one blob, and you haven't separated the observer from the intender, from the cohesion, from the transformation, you can't function. You've got to pull these apart and observe and them, polish the facets and put them together and watch them function together. This is important. Journal clearly what you are doing. How does it work? Where does it go? What is the bigger picture? Okay, so let's leave that there. These are some of the fundamental tools for success. How to implement the training program and how to move forward and get success. If you don't give this a lot of thought, a lot of clear-cut journaling, a lot of contemplation, you won't be using your time efficiently. If you invest time in this, I want you to get results every single time you train. I want you to journal those results, compound those results, master the skills quickly and efficiently. Okay, thank you for your time, and see you in the next video.